Back to white ball cricket we go, and India will look to put behind what was a difficult few months in Test cricket. The first challenge is a T20 series against England, the most recent T20 world champions versus the ones they displaced. Welcome to ESPN Cricinfo Timeout. We're joined by Sanjay Manjrekar. The players talk a lot about changing formats. Sanjay, how do you feel about shifting from a full season of Test cricket to now going headfirst into white ball?
I'm struggling with the adjustment factor. Yeah, to get that T20 game in, once you're in the middle of the IPL, it's like, it comes naturally to you. I can hit the first ball out of the park, but now the first game, a bit tense doing this preview of a T20 series.
Generally bodes well for most series if there's a tense start to it and then you can find your gears as you go on. So that's the hope for all of us. But ironically, Sanjay, for a format which we've seen so many years of bilateral T20 as usually being your grounds for experiment, and yet you find Indian cricket in a place where you could argue that perhaps the T20 side right now is the most settled.
Actually, that's a good point, purely because we don't have the problems that, we have in Test cricket, where very often selection, as we've talked, multiple times during the Australia series, becomes a little difficult. It's not that, um, what should I say, clinical. It's not just about performances and, player being left out of a T20 game. They don't take it as hard as you losing a place in the Test team. So there's a little more thought given to Test selections, whereas T20 cricket can be a little cutthroat and ruthless. You see in the auctions as well, how ruthless the auction can be to see the value of a player. So that's one good thing where when you look at the T20 team, you think, the transition has happened and it's happened quite easily. And all those guys who are in there are purely there because of their T20 ability and their current form as well.
As far as the context of this contest goes, it's not devoid of meaning and a nice narrative curve, because it is England who, once they had unified their white ball crowns in 2022, they had set India towards their way to a white ball rethink. India reaped their rewards. England, strangely enough, had two of their toughest white ball World Cups in 23 and 24. But they now have the man who's transformed their test fortune in Brendan McCullum, bringing baseball to white ball cricket. The storylines are quite exciting.
Yes, and when you look at England as a team, and on paper, when you start reading from top to bottom, looks a very good side. Their seam bowling is covered. There's a bit of quality there. They've got a spinner in Adil Rashid, who's a game changer as a wrist spinner, and a lot of bowling options. People like Liam Livingston, primarily there for their batting, but can turn in his off spinners and leg spinners and bowl 3 overs, like India found out in the semis of the T20 in a World Cup in Australia. So on paper, England looks a very strong side, and that's why I think this will be a good test of a very good T20 Indian side as well, because they're taking on an opposition that looks really strong.
Yeah, and they are the team which showed the world the benefits of batting deep. So deep that this is a lineup where Adil Rashid potentially bats 11. That's something India bought into as well. When you just look at the depth of the batting lineups, the plethora of all-rounders on both sides, and India produced some real high-scoring T20s in the last year, you feel like this could be a series which shatters some scoring ceilings.
Yes, this Indian team has managed to do that as well. And yes, Indian grounds, fast outfields, small, boundaries. So I see that happening. And generally, you also get pitches that are quite flat for white ball cricket. In red ball cricket, you could be surprised with the surface. It can be challenging for batters. So conditions are ideal. But I like the look of the Indian T20 side. You've heard me talk a million times about the illusory all-rounder that people keep looking for in Test cricket. When you look at this Indian T20 side, you got a Sanjay Samson, who is a very, very capable pure batter, but can keep wickets as well. Abhishek Sharma can bowl in a couple of good overs of left-arm spin. You've got quite a few of those kind of players. And that, augurs well. Nitish Kumar Reddy, for example, you'll be tempted to play him as a pure batter down the order, but can bowl a couple of decent overs. So this team is the kind that you want with all rounders who are there because they have one skill is really good. Washington Sundar as well.
Already 5 minutes into a new series and its build up, I can see how we also need to keep recalibrating with the formats. Because for the past couple of months, I've asked you multiple times about why are India playing this notional all rounder. Now we're going to ask the same question in a different light over the coming weeks. But just want to focus a bit on some of the individuals. No individual storyline bigger, Sanjay, for Indian cricket than Mohammad Shami. He returns after what has been so long. The World Cup, the ODI World Cup final of 2023 is the last time he played. There's obviously an immediate goal of him making it in time for the Champions Trophy. We don't know about Bumrah's fitness, but more than that, just the long-term benefit of one of India's prime assets being back on the field.
Yes, and you might think, it's 4 overs. It's not that much of a workload, but T20 cricket can put a different kind of pressure because you can't just run in and settle into a spell like you can in a 50 overs format where you've got to bowl 10 overs in a very short span of time overall. So there won't be some easy balls for Mohammad Shami. His comeback is not going to be easy. I hope he's more than 100% fit. Well, when he comes into bowl, those English batters will be going into him straight away. They won't be looking at Shami's stature as a bowler. It's a very dangerous batting side with the kind of brand of cricket that they play. That Shami will have to be up and kicking right from ball number one. And let's not forget, Shami is a top class test bowler, 50 overs cricket as well. T20 bowling. He was at a certain stage of his career a bit dispensable. That isn't the case anymore. He's really grown as a white ball bowler too. So let's hope for the best. I just want Shami fit for the England series, which is some months away. But if there are signs before that in white ball cricket that is, ready for that challenge that will resonate and people will remember more, I'm happy.
All right, looking towards the batters, you've had a new opening pairing who've got quite a few games together. Abhishek Sharma and Sanju Samson. Samson has had a bit of a ball, 3 centuries in his last 5 T20. As Abhishek Sharma's blown hot and cold. For a player like that, it becomes important to grab the opportunity because you know that the next time India play a bilateral T20I series, it's more than likely Yashasvi Jaiswal will be in the setup.
Now, this is where the team management comes into the picture where, clearly, I mean, and, I've watched some of his innings, Abhishek Sharma, there's some serious talent there. Plus, he's not one of your, part-time bowlers. He's actually a pretty good left-arm spinner as well. So when you have conditions like you had in the US and West Indies, where you always needed the help of an additional, slow bowler, Abhishek Sharma can be a man when two right-handers are batting, and he's in the team for his batting. And I do believe that there's some serious talent. There's a lot of low scores because of the kind of cricket that he plays and the role that he has. But he's got 100 and he's got a 50 at a strike rate of 200 against South Africa and a pretty decent bowling attack in South Africa. So if the team management believes that he's somebody that they can make a big star at the top of the order, we just got to persist with it because there will be constant, competition and threats for its place to be taken away by somebody like a Yashasvi Jaiswal. So it's really up to the team management to think that Yashasvi is there. He's our, mainstay in Test cricket. And if they believe Abhishek Sharma is somebody that can be a future, then T20 cricket is where you need a little bit of a longer rope.
You brought up the team management, and that takes me to another individual for whom this series and the upcoming months has a lot riding on it. Gautam Gambhir. This is a big time for him, given all the challenges of his first few months as India head coach.
Yes, but I think he will be judged, as we all know, from India's performance in the Champions Trophy and the England tour that follows. Because if you remember, I mean, the bilateral series that happens before the big events, whether it's a tour to Australia or tour to England or South Africa, New Zealand, and the ICC events are the ones that register and make or break a player's career and coach's career as well. So let's hope that, he can feel a little settled there and the pressure is off him. And he has, I mean, he'll have a new bunch of young players that, this likely easier challenge for him than the one that he had in Australia. So winning these matches are important. We'll just get him uh, to feel part of that team. But what will happen in the Champions Trophy and the England tour? We could just spoil all the good work that he could have done before that. So those are the two tournaments that will actually get us Judge Gautam Gambhir, value to the team, which is a little unfair every time I say it because the coach has only so much that he can do.
Okay, we've done a lot of the build up. You've seen the squad. What's the playing 11 you would like to see?
I think it looks like a playing 11 that's not going to give too much headache to the team management and the selector as well. So Sanjay Samson and Abhishek Sharma, until Jaiswal, gets a way back in, will be our openers. Tilak Verma, over 100 against South Africa in that game where Abhishek got a 50. Is your number 3, Surya Kumar Yadav, the captain at 4, Hardik at 5, Rinku at 6. That looks like a very good batting order. And I get Nitish Kumar Reddy and Washington Sundar might just depend on the kind of pitch that you get, and plus left-handers. An off-spinner comes handy when there are a lot of left-handers. But from what I see, they might have 2 in the top 6 or 7. So maybe Nitish Kumar Reddy might just get that nod. Akshar Patel. I'd like to have Arun Chakraborty in this side. I just think, he's a game changer in T20 cricket. Arshdeep and Mohammad Shami. So it looks a pretty good side, this.
Should be, as you said, might be a little easier picking this one and deciding who stays out, stays in compared to the last few months. So that bodes well. I Gautam Gambhir and the Indian team management. Let's see what's in store then. 5 matches. Sanjay Manjrekar will be with us all through on ESPN Cricinfo Timeout. Be sure to join us. Thank you for watching.